Hey everybody, what's decent? Welcome to another episode of Decent Reviews. Today I'm going to review my folding bike. Let me show you what I got going on here. So let me run you guys through this real quick. Popular brands for folding bikes these days is Dahan or Citizen. I have a Citizen, as you can see, my fat seat. This model has 20-inch wheels. The frame is a steel alloy, weighs about 30 pounds. Has 6 gears. Not sure if you can see that there. It's on 3. And you can accessorize it. You know, I got this loud bell when these pedestrians need to get out of my way. I also have like a mini pump. It's upstairs right now, but I could probably, edit that into the video later on. But everything folds up. I'll demonstrate the fold, but even like the pedals fold up to minimize its footprint. So let me hop on just to show you what it looks like when I'm sitting on it. It's kind of a tall bike. And then let me demonstrate how it folds. Alright, so now let's fold it up. It comes with these straps. It's got Velcro or whatever, so if you need to, let's say, if you're in a train or something like that and it's like shaking or whatever and you don't want the bike to unravel, you can just strap it closed. Or I see a lot of people, they strap like the bike to like the handrail or something like that, so that it just stays in one spot. So these straps come in handy. Also, one thing that I bought for my bike was a bag to put the bike in, because there's a lot of situations where a lot of people are like, oh, you can't bring your bike in here. So for example, when you go to your office and you work in like this big fancy corporate office, a lot of the times they make you go through the freight, and that's fine. But there are instances where, let's say, for example, the freight went on strike, like the workers went on strike with the union or whatever, or it's a holiday but you still have to go into work, and you can't go through the freight because there's no freight workers because it's a holiday. And then you go into the front, right, and then the front desk guy is always like, oh, you can't bring it through the front. So to avoid this kind of conflict, if you need to bring your bike inside somewhere, and that's kind of the whole point of me getting a folding bike, is so that I can ride it, fold it, put it under my desk, and then just unfold it and ride back home. But if you ever get into a situation where you have people telling you that you can't bring your bike in the building, simply having a bag to put it in alleviates that problem. And it's kind of silly because it's the same thing, but I mean, that's how it is. Alright, so let's get into the pros and the cons. So I think the biggest pro about getting a folding bike is your ability to get from point A to point B in a very short amount of time when you're in like a big city like New York or whatever. If you're out in like some, rural or suburban area, then, you probably need a car or whatever. But in a city where you can I lived in Bed-Stuy for about 5 years, and I worked in Midtown Manhattan. So I was able to get to and from work in 45 minutes. Each trip was 45 minutes. So I mean, when you're on the subway, and that's pretty much the same time it took for me to take the subway. So when you're paying like $100 a month for your Metro card, and when you're dealing with like signal problems and train problems all the time, crowded subways, full of people, full of germs and all that kind of stuff, it's better to just have the bike. This is kind of a con and a pro at the same time. The wheels are 20 inches, right? You get a normal bike, it's like 26 inches or more. It's 21 gears. My bike only has 6. But the reason why that's a con is because you obviously lose leverage. But the reason it's a pro is because I kind of like the exercise, so you can kind of save money on your gym expense at the same time by just getting a bike. You got to work a little harder on a folding bike, but the counter pro to that, in addition to the exercise, is that you can just fold it up and put it, in a bag and bring it wherever you need to bring it, instead of locking it up outside and having people tamper with it. To give another pro in a city environment, a lot of people use public transportation, so like the train and the bus, and that kind of limits them to what they can see if they actually just go somewhere by themselves. Obviously, if you walk, it'll take too long, and people just hop in the cab or just hop in the bus or they just hop in the train. But when you go on for years doing that, and someone asks, "Hey, where's a good restaurant?" or "Hey, where's a good shop to buy something?" A lot of the times you can only recite places that you've seen, like when you got out the subway, or places that the bus passes by. But if you ride your bike and you can you see the light's about to turn red, so you go a different route, you can kind of expand your map. That's important for me. I don't know how important that is for everyone, but you can kind of see everything over time, so that when you need something, you know exactly where to go. I guess to give a few more cons, one thing about having your own bike and riding your own bike is, over time, like I've had my bike for a couple of years, and just recently the back tire, I guess I ran over some glass or whatever, but the back tire went flat. So one of the cons about having a bike and using it as your main means of transportation is, when you have an accident or you need to do repairs, you kind of have to do them by yourself on the spot. If you try hailing a taxi or whatever, and they see you with the bike, they'll just go right by you. So I usually walk with a pack of tools in my bag, and also a spare inner tube. So if I ever catch a flat, or if my pedal gets wobbly, or any kind of run-of-the-mill bicycle maintenance issue, I have my tools on me, so I can hop off, fix it, and then get to work. But that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, is that if something happens, you yourself are going to have to get your hands a little dirty and fix your bike if you're caught out in the street, with some kind of issue. By the way, this is that pump that I mentioned earlier. Just screw it on and get you out of tight situations. I guess maybe one more con about having a folding bike as opposed to any other means of transportation is, since it's a folding bike, you kind of want to bring it inside. You can lock it up outside or whatever, but the reason I bought a folding bike is so that I can bring it inside and just have it be protected from people messing with it. So one of the cons is people giving you pushback when you're trying to bring it inside of a building. So I got my bag, and that's the way that I take care of that. But let's just say if my bag ripped, or I don't know, something like that, and I have to go somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, no bikes, no bikes." That's what you run into, as opposed to simply, I don't know, using a city bike, let's say, which is a bike sharing program here in New York City, where you can just park it into a station, which limits where you can go, or what route you can take to get where you need to go. But I mean, that's not a real con, because there's a way to work around it, but just to be even here, that's what I got. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comment section down below. Feel free to head on over to facebook.com/QuiteDecent, click like on my Facebook page, and leave some comments on there as well. But I actually made this video because people approach me 2 or 3 times a week, ask me questions about the bike. How much does it weigh? How fast can you go? How much does it cost? My model, I got it from Citizen. It's the Miami model. It's about $200, and I got it a couple years ago, so I mean, I don't know what it is now. I imagine the bikes are getting cheaper though, because they're becoming more popular, and competition usually brings the price down. But any questions that you have, just leave them in the comment section down below and let me know, and I'll get back to you. But that's my folding bike, and thank you guys for watching. Share, rate, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy.